Oh Christ, there's updates. Gale.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV. Having some technical difficulties here with my microphone. Apologies for that. So they've been trying to do a bunch of stuff here to get us going because we are in the regular season finale for this season here with the Indy Series. So say we'll 125 laps here tonight at Iowa is gonna be our race distance. So I'll say while all this craziness is going on, let's try to get through our starting grid. Again, apologies for everything. We'll get things nailed down here shortly. However, on pole position, it's going to be the 007 of Henry Bennett taking pole position. Next to him is going to be Andrew Wood, Nick DeGroot in third, Charles Teed fourth, Yari Brupacher rounds out our top five. In sixth, you've got Eric Schaus, Michael Spell, Gary Corley, Jimmy Drynan, Alec Coates rounding out our top 10. And then 11th on back, you've got Matt Wagner in 11th. In 12th position, you have Bud Steele. Then you have Todd Merkel, Craig Forsyth, AJ Hobson, Jim Brooks, Jeff Heisong, Benjamin Combs. And then drivers opting to start from the back here this evening. You've got James Ledford there, Chris Matthews, Charles Johnson, and then Joseph DeSiro in the number 110 machine. So things we're going to try to show tonight, I'll try to show it really quickly here, is going to be our point standings going in tonight because this somehow already is our regular season finale. And so we'll pull up our points here so you can see, again, top 8 in points. Doesn't matter if you've won or not. If you're in the top 8, you will advance. Right now, Alec Coates right on the cutoff, but it's very close between himself, Andrew Wood, who's been on a tear these couple of races that he's run. And I say just in front of him, Jim Brooks, also right on the bubble, James Ledford, Anders Arhu. So there's a lot of drivers here looking to try to get into that top 8 here, into that final 4. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this finale plays out this evening. Again, apologies for all the hiccups here. I say when something doesn't work, it all doesn't seem to work. So, but we're going to find a way to work our way through it here tonight. Alright, as the pace car comes out, so I believe it's going to be a 2-lap warm-up here. So usually it's short tracks, you get a 2 laps around the track, but again, 125 laps is going to be the race distance. And say I think this is going to be one of the racier ovals here, say Iowa Speedway. So you definitely have some grooves you can work with, and we've seen before with these Indy cars, you need to be able to work around these this track, be it the high line or the low line. So it's going to be very fun to see what these drivers have in store for us tonight. As right now you see the drivers here heading through the start-finish line for the first time. And then we'll get things underway that next time around. And so one thing we do need to mention as well is there is going to be one drop week, so it's going to take the best 7 out of your 8 races, should you have raced all 8 of them. I say for those who haven't run all 8 races, basically the drop week is going to be one of the races they missed if they missed more than one. So that could also really play a big outcome if, let's say, someone maybe has run all 7 but had one really bad race. That one's going to get wiped. It could promote them way up the standings, so we'll definitely try to get that all squared away for you as this run goes on. Saying I'll be joined here shortly by my partner in crime, Steve Gottschalk. He's had to take care of a couple matters here at the house before he was able to kick on. However, it's going to be Henry Bennett here leading the field to the green as the green flag flies, and we are underway here at Iowa. 125 laps is the race distance, and we got Henry Bennett, Andrew Wood leading the field here into turn number 1. Henry gets a great start. He's going to hold on to the lead here as they go through 3 and 4 for the first time. You see Andrew trying to see if he can find somewhere to get a little bit of clean air again on the nose of that 64 machine. But Henry Bennett going to lead lap number 1 here. Say Henry also is in a pretty good spot, I think, in points, but of course wants to make sure he can solidify his spot in that top 8, of course. Say not having the dominant season that he had last season, these guys definitely trying to keep him honest in that 007 machine as we start the second lap. And again, just how quick this track is. So even still getting up to speed, these guys ran 17-second lap here. So say should we go green, this will be a very quick race, but I think it's going to be very quick or very difficult to go caution free here at a track like Iowa. So right now Henry Bennett leads over Andrew Wood there in second. In third is that number 5 of Charles Teed. Eric Schaus, one of our fan favorites on YouTube, courtesy of his wife Rachel. He sits in the 4th position. Michael Spell, a great start for him. He rounds out our top 5. And I say one of the drivers who we feel like is pretty much guaranteed to be locked into this one tonight, that 89 of Nick DeGroot. He's had a great season here. He sits in 6th position. So I think he's just going to kind of be able to sit comfortably and kind of wait for this one to kind of pan out completely. And you got Jimmy Drynan there in the 7th position. Matt Wagner 8th. Yari Brupacher in the 9th position, and a nice little battle right behind him, though, for that 11th spot. You got AJ Hobson to the outside, Bud Steele on the inside, and right behind them, Alec Coates, Todd Merkel. Alec was one of those drivers we mentioned right on the cut line, so he's going to have to be very careful. He's going to have to kind of pick and choose his battles here and keep that car clean throughout the race. And then behind Alec, you've got Todd Merkel right there in the 2, Benjamin Combs in the 77 machine. Jim Brooks in the 51 is in 16th. Right behind him, you've got Jeff Hysong, as Jeff unfortunately has a little bit of a blink there. Then you got Charles Johnson, Chris Matthews, And then James Ledford here in 20th. Joseph DeCiro right now rounding out our drivers on the track at the moment in 21st position. Not sure what happened to Gary Corley. He sits in pit road. Not sure if he had to take a tow or if something happened to him. I believe he did make the start of the race, so we'll keep an eye on the 7, see if he's able to get back out on track. As I said, he actually does leave pit road right now in that 7 machine, so he's going to get back out on track. Unfortunately, though, with the pace these guys are having right now, it's going to be about 5, I believe 6 now laps down in that number 7 machine. So right now, one of the closest battles on track is right here. Eric Schaus trying to close the gap on Charles Teed for that 3rd position. Right now, Eric Schaus gaining 2 spots from his opening starting spot. And then behind him, Michael Spell also +2 from his starting position. And I believe AJ Hobson Bud still continuing this battle here right now as well for that 11th position. And that's bringing Alec Coates into the mix as well here, trying to work the inside, while these two now trying to work that middle groove here through 3 and 4. Oh, you see right there, Bud trying to, looks like, and you see right here, you see 3 distinct lines there. You see almost going 3 wide there down the backstretch as well. You see Bud, he's opted to run the very, very top side there. You see close contact almost between the 4 and the 6 cars. It looks like they're going to be all right. I didn't see any pieces come off, so we'll see if hopefully AJ still got the right front wing end plate on his car. Looks like he's going to be okay, but that was a close call between the 2 of them. And we're going to move up a little further. We have another battle going on here. I think Matt Wagner starting to try to put some pressure on Nick DeGroot, but Jimmy Dryden doing the same thing to him. And also Craig Forsyth, he's starting to catch Yari Brewparker. A good run here off of 2. We'll see if he takes a look inside. He does. But you see right there, he has to roll out of it. Yari's going to be able to roll the top side. Looks like momentum going to be the name of the game here tonight. Henry Bennett able to stretch his lead now out to about a full second over Andrew Wood. Andrew about 2 seconds over Charles Teed here on these early laps. I'm going to go back to this battle here because you've got AJ Hobson right there with Todd Merkel, Jim Brooks right behind him. Those guys right in close proximity. And then Bud Steele, Alec Coates, those two haven't been able to shake one another off as well. I'll say right now one of our higher climbers towards the front is the number 27 of Craig Forsyth, the number 11 of Matt Wagner. They have both each gained 4 spots. Matt Wagner working on number 5 here, sends it deep into turn number 3. Think maybe Nick DeGroot giving him a little bit of room there as well. So this is a very difficult track, and I think there's going to be a lot of strategy here as well because, again, very short track here. It's a basically 9/10 of a mile oval. Again, lots of different grooves here, but I think when you get in that dirty air, it's going to be the question is, how do you kind of manage your pace and your tires and everything like that? Can you maybe run a lower fuel mixture possibly to kind of keep that everything in control? So as you see, Craig Forsyth just gets around Yari Brewpacher to move him up now into the 9th spot. And we saw Matt Wagner, he jumped to 6th of that pass over Nick DeGroot. And then also Charles Johnson, he is also +5 up to 17th from his starting position. So all these drivers really starting to make some ground here early on in the race. And trying to watch lap times as well. Right now it looks like it's kind of just really clean air is king right now. Henry Bennett running in the mid to high 17-second bracket here as our race leader. Saying that 1777 for Andrew Woods, only 0.02 of a second slower, and then it kind of progressively slows down a little bit, but actually last time by Craig Forsyth ran the same lap time as our race leader. So I think Craig's definitely got some more pace in that car than he's able to really show right now just based on his qualifying position. And the battle with Alec Coates and Bud Steele still continues on. Alec trying to work underneath the 6, but I say Bud's really working that top side very well here at Iowa. And I think that's showing again, so you have some different grooves you can work with here. As you can see again, this time Bud runs more of the middle groove there. Oh, see one really loose off of 2, hits the inside wall. I think that was actually Gary Corley. I believe he stays off track. Yeah, he actually jumps to the pit road there, so that'll avoid bringing out a yellow. So we stay green here. And so that's going to allow Alec Coates to continue that charge here on that 6 car of Bud Steele as we're already on lap 25 of this race. And so right now these two definitely one of the closer battles on track. Now, we mentioned Nick DeGroot looks like now starting to get a little bit of pressure from Jimmy Drinan as well. But I'm going to jump just a little further back, so we got a great little gaggle here. You've got Todd Merkel right there in front of Benjamin Combs, Jeff Hysong's right here, Charles Johnson, Chris Matthews joining the mix. So we got pretty much 5 cars right now, pretty much within a blanket here as they go through 3 and 4. So right now these guys right around the top 15 or so on track. I'd say some of the drivers able to sneak around them and start stretching their legs out a little bit more. You see Charles, he's going to work the inside here, try to grab that spot. So I think we move Charles now up into the 16th position. We'll see Todd Merkel now. He's going to have to try to hold off a very hard-charging Jeff Hysong. Jeff also, I believe, good to go to the to be in the top 8 for the playoffs. So say we'll be keeping an eye on his progress, of course, through the night. And then Chris Matthews, as we mentioned, also gaining a couple spots from the opening laps here as well, trying to work his way forward as well in that number 92 machine. So right now Henry Bennett leading by about 1.5 seconds over Andrew Wood. They've been able to separate themselves by about 4 seconds off the lead, 2.5 seconds off of second place for that number 5 of Charles Teed. But man, if you're Charles Teed here, I think you really like where you are. Obviously, you want to be up front. You want to be leading this race, but he's got about 2.5 seconds in front, 2.5 seconds behind him. He's just kind of on a nice little Tuesday evening drive here in that number 5 machine. So I think that's exactly what he's looking for. As you see, it looks like James Ledford is hitting pit road in that 48 car. Say not a scheduled stop, definitely an early stop for James. Say trying to see maybe related to damage. I can't tell offhand. However, I do need to mention that Henry Bennett's starting to pick up some lap traffic here, so this could be an opportunity now for Andrew Wood. As you suspect you'll see the lap cars give some room here for our race leader. We see that pretty regularly here. However, at the same time, drivers are going to be going to be keen to try to stay on the lead lap as well. So we'll see as he starts to get to some of the other cars here that they start to race him maybe just a little bit harder, which might bring that 64 in just that little bit closer as he starts to work traffic here. But right now, things holding pretty steady up front. That fight with Alec Coates, Bud Steele, it's still going on. AJ Hobson, Jim Brooks, they're also starting to battle here as well for that 13th position. And then Jeff Hysong trying to work over the 9 of Charles Johnson. You see Jeff right on the rear gearbox of that 9 machine. And then same thing, Chris Matthews, Todd Merkel. So I feel like these two have been pretty much, doesn't matter what series it is, these two are just locked with each other week in and week out. If it's this Tuesday Indy Series, if it's the Thursday Premier Series, I say it just seems like these two have a way of finding each other out on track. And this is going to now make it a little bit difficult for Henry Bennett here. You got 2 cars fighting for position on the tail end of the lead lap. So if you're Henry, say you don't really have anywhere to really go here. So you're going to try to find where the momentum is. And I think right there you saw Chris Matthews going to kind of do the gentlemanly thing there and roll out of it. Doesn't want to play any role in the lead of this race here. And so as he's going to roll out, let the leader on by. It looks like Henry's going to be able to complete the pass out of 4 around Todd Merkel. And saying Chris, unfortunately, not able to capitalize. It's one of those things you sometimes want to try to chase that car and follow him through if you can. But unfortunately, say Henry a little bit too quick on making that pass there.
Yeah, Chris, that was a class move.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he does. I say that's what a lot of these guys are also. I feel like here, Steve, is just, it's early in the race. Let's say they know a lot of things can change. And a little bit of net code actually between the 92 and the 2 there. That's going to give Chris the spot, but unfortunately for Todd, I say definitely bumped him a little bit there on the iRacing side of things. But while we watched it as it happened, you could see there was still probably a couple feet of distance between those cars. So unfortunately, that net code kind of rears its ugly head again.
So Gael, do me a favor, since I was stuck in traffic. Give me a little recap of what's happened here.
So far, at the beginning of this race, it's kind of been the Henry and Andrew show. They've been able to kind of just step away from the field by a pretty good amount here. However, when the traffic's really clicked in, though, Henry's been able to stretch his gap over Andrew, which is honestly the opposite of what I thought would happen. and Charles Tiede is really starting to close that gap on Andrew Wood. He's now within about a second. It was about 2.5 seconds not that long ago. So, but so far, clean and green here for the opening now 42 laps of this race, Steve. That's something we were mentioning at the beginning, was these lap times under green, they're quick, about 17, 18-second laps. So say if we stay green, this thing's going to click off very quickly. But we have a strategy call here, Steve. Here comes Andrew Wood here pitting at lap number 43. So I think Andrew here opting to maybe try to split this race into thirds right now in that 64 car. The question, of course, is going to be how many laps down is this going to put him? Obviously, he's already down 1 lap now as he hits pit road. So the question is going to be, does he make it out before he gets put 2 down? As again, we talked about just the insane pace that this track has.
Is it possible to do this race in 1 stop?
That's a good. I'm not sure actually. I haven't got great field numbers from any of the guys, and it's gonna be right on the edge there. As soon as the 64 just was rolling out of the pit road there, Henry Bennett puts him down now 2 laps. So you do lose 2 laps under green here, Steve. And I think that's why you see some of the strategy that we've been seeing from some of these guys. As now Henry Bennett, he's going to enjoy a little bit of clean air all around him in front and behind. And yeah, here comes our second taker here, Charles Tiede. He hits pit road. So I'm thinking these guys I think they're trying to pull a little bit of strategy here. I don't think anybody can one-stop it, but we'll have to keep an eye and see. I believe, yeah, here comes Henry Bennett. He's going to hit pit road as well. So I think this looks like might be right on the edge of the fuel window. So now we'll see kind of who's maybe playing some fuel mileage games here. Because, I mean, to go 62, 63 laps, if you want to stretch it on a one-stopper, so we know we have one driver on the Premier Series who's all about fuel savings. I don't know about these Indy Series. It's brought a lot of drivers in too. You got Henry Bennett in with Michael Spell, Bud Steele, AJ Hobson. We mentioned Charles Tiede already. Eric Schaus gets in pit road. It was close, but he's able to hit pit road. Craig Forsyth, though, I think Craig's one of our better fuel savers in the league, as he's going to take the point now in that 27 machine. So this is a dangerous part of the race, Steve, because this is where things can really jumble the field up. So a lot of these drivers are, I think, really hoping this thing stays green here.
And Craig Forsyth is pitting right now, too. And Eric Schaus is also one of the good fuel savers in the league. So seeing both of those guys pit right here is a pretty good indication that nobody's going to be able to make it on one stop.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. So we're waiting for everything to cycle through completely, as it looks like Jeff Highsong, he's going to be the one to stretch his fuel out the furthest, as now he hits pit road in that number 18 car. And I believe with all of that cycling through, we'll have to wait until it completely cycles through, but I believe Andrew Wood, with that early stop here, I think he's going to cycle through to the lead in this number 64 machine. He is, in the races he has run, he has been on a tear. So right now, Andrew Wood, I believe, cycles through now as the race leader. So yeah, so put that 64 out in front, and this has really separated this field out now, Steve. Looks like we have about 11 cars, I think, left on the lead lap after that. Just again, the outright pace initially by the 007 Henry Bennett, but then of course the pit stop cycle here, which I don't think anybody was really expecting to get a full green flag run in these opening 50 laps here. So just hats off to the guys. But I say right now, it's put now Jim Brooks in 11th as the first car, 1 down. But I say that 64 trying to chase down the 3 of Alec Coates, who's in 10th position here right now on the tail end of the lead lap.
Andrew Wood gained about 5 seconds by pitting early and maybe by having a better pit stop as well. Because he was a couple seconds behind Henry Bennett when he pitted, and now he's 2.7 ahead.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, Steve. The way it's gone so far, and you're right, I'm looking at the pit lane time. So it was a 42 seconds pit lane time for Henry Bennett, 42.13. Andrew Wood had a 40.47, so about a second and a half gain for Andrew over Henry right there. And I did notice too, it looks like there's a bit of a mixed decision on some drivers opting if they wanted to hit pit road entering turn number 3 or coming out of turn number 4. So I think that may have also possibly, I saw Henry pit out of, or entering 3. I think Andrew may have ducked in out of 4, so maybe saved him a little bit, or gained him, I should say, a little bit of time that way as well. As right now, Michael Spell trying to keep a top 5, trying to hold off Matt Wagner in that 11 machine. He's gained 5 spots right now. I say Matt's had a really good opening stint as well here, but yeah, unfortunate for some of these guys that started towards the back. Probably were expecting some early yellows here, and so unfortunately that strategy so far has bit them, as we just mentioned. I mean, only right now 10 cars here sitting on the lead lap at the moment, close there between the 11 and the 88 there. However, I do need to mention, I believe that Jim Brooks has been able to work his way around Andrew Wood, so move Jim back actually into the tail end of the lead lap. So great job by him. Jeff Heisong, I think he's going to try to return this, or kind of saw what Jim was able to do, going to try to do the same in that Ford machine. So yeah, so these guys are definitely starting to kind of pick him up, put him down. I think Henry Bennett as well. Looks like he's starting to reel in that 64 a little bit now.
Oh yeah, he's reeling him out. He's catching him in big chunks.
Yeah, it looks like last time by about a 10th quicker, 1755 to 1767. So I say, unfortunately, you say the 4 car probably had sights on trying to get around the 64 car, but now he's got to worry about this 007 of Henry Bennett. However, though, Henry not able to clear, and then also look right behind. This is going to be the battle for that lucky dog position, and there goes there goes Jeff Heisong, gets around AJ Hobson. So now that puts Jeff in the lucky dog position. However, again, Henry Bennett able to clear the 2 of them. So now he's going to have to regroup a little bit, get some speed back in that 007 car, and regroup and try to chase down Andrew Wood now for the lead.
Okay, so let's talk about the bubble position for a sec. You told me, I believe, that Alec Coates was, I think, just outside the bubble?
So yeah, so going into tonight's event, I was able to pull this. I had some technical difficulties, kind of made it tough to go over the points as well as I wanted to. So right now, Alec Coates sits on the bubble right now. However, the car right behind him in points in that number is our race leader now, Andrew Wood. Because I mean, Andrew's only ran a couple of races, but the races he's ran, Steve, he's won twice and he's finished second. So I mean, he's had some brilliant races already in these couple of races he's done. And so right now he sits, I believe, 5 points behind Alec Coates. Unfortunately for Alec, he's missed a couple of races as well, which has dropped him down the running order a little bit as well. And then above Alec is Jim Brooks in 7th position, who's also only 7 points ahead of Alec. So, and then behind Alec, you've got James Ledford, who's only 5 back. Anders Arhus, actually Anders I don't think is here this evening, unfortunately. So that kind of makes that one null and void. So, yeah, I think right now it's probably going to be between, I believe, Andrew Wood and Alec Coates as things run for that final playoff position. Right now, James Ledford not having the night he needs to try to jump himself into that top 8. And then Jim Brooks, I'll say he's making the best of a bad situation, I feel like, here at this point.
Who is it that's in 8th right now?
8th position right now is that number 3 of Alec Coates.
Oh, okay, so he's in right now, but Andrew Wood is potentially going to...
Exactly, yeah. Because as it stands right now, obviously, with Andrew leading here and Alec right now being in 10th, I would easily cycle Andrew to the point and into the top 8. Also, honestly, he might even jump over Jim Brooks and bump Jim back to 8th. So it could even wind up being a battle between the 3 and the 51, and these two are actually right now about a second apart on track with one another. Alec in 10th, Jim in 11th. So I'll say this could actually be a crucial battle to figure out who is going to be in that top 8 by the end of this one tonight.
Well, if Andrew gets in, then both of them are out, right?
One of the 2 of them would still make it. So let's say if Andrew bumps himself up to 7th, then that battle for 8th would be between Jim and Alec.
Okay, so Jim Brooks is in the top 8 right now?
Correct, yeah. Jim right now sits in 7th, Alec in 8th, and then Andrew in 9th. However, we're going to jump to this battle here because we've got a bottleneck right here. You've got Michael Stull still able to hold off Matt Wagner despite Matt's best efforts. It's brought Craig Forsyth into this mix as well here, Steve. I'll say we've got a lot of cars in a very small amount of racetrack here. I'm saying again, I think Iowa just for a short track just works so well with these Indy cars because they can run 3 very, very distinctly different grooves and still make pretty good time.
And it also looks like tire wear and fall off is a factor.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, right now we're on lap number 71 already of 125, and they're about a second off of their best lap times. Start off in the 17s, they're down into the 18s now, and we're not even into a full fuel run yet. So yeah, so I think you're spot on there as well, Steve. So I think right now, like I said, I think pretty much everybody is set on the 2-stop strategy. We've seen a few drivers pit, kind of splitting it pretty much exactly evenly. Henry Bennett obviously not wanting to take the risk. He stretched his out a little farther. The furthest was Jeff Heisong. He was able to go to lap 49, so basically he could get to about 98 should he be able to run the same pace that he did earlier. So That's going to leave him, though, again, about 26, 27 laps short of making it to the distance. But you just have to wonder, I mean, at what point, I mean, does this pace continue this whole run or not? Because, I mean, if this thing stays green, I mean, we're going to probably get to the point where I could easily see probably getting down to easily single digits of cars on the lead lap here tonight.
Yeah, I could definitely see that as well.
And it looks like the gap with Andrew and Henry is kind of stabilized here. However, what has happened, though, as you see right there, Andrew has gotten back by Jim Brooks. So that puts Jim back a lap down there in the 51 car. Right now, the first car went down, but say not in a great spot for him for where he's at, because let's say now, of course, he's kind of at the mercy of Andrew. Should Andrew get around Alec, that would then knock him out of that lucky dog position.
And lap cars are definitely playing a role in the battle between Henry Bennett and Andrew Wood, because I notice like whoever gets hung up behind a lap car starts losing time. Henry Bennett was down to 0.9 behind Andrew just a lap or two ago. Now he's got stuck behind some lap cars. It's 1.2 behind.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you can gain or lose so much time in traffic. It just really depends on, I think, A, where you catch them, and B, if you choose the right line in relation to the guys around you, too. So earlier it seemed like it was actually Henry that was able to work the traffic better than Andrew. And now it looks like the shoe's kind of on the other foot. Andrew working traffic a little better than Henry now. And right now Charles Teed, he's holding still, again, solidly in that third spot. He's got, again, about a 5-second gap between himself and Henry Bennett, and about, I believe, 1.5 seconds over Eric Schaus. But right now, Eric's got a lot of clean air, and that 5-car Charles T definitely has some traffic in front of him that he's going to have to try to find a way around. And it looks like actually makes it a lot easier when the guy in front of you actually decides to pit. So now that'll give Charles here a little bit of breathing room, I think, to be able to kind of stretch his legs out and try to build that gap back over that number 5 car.
And we should be getting the last pit stops right about now.
And it's crazy enough as it sounds, Steve. Yeah, I mean, we're right back in the pit stop window to make it to the end here. Again, I don't think anybody would have expected this race to go as green as it has. To say, not trying to do any commentators' curses. These guys have been doing an outstanding job here tonight. So right now, again, we've got about 10 cars on the lead lap here. Right now, one of the closer battles on track here is with Alec Coates trying to chase down Nick DeGroot. Nick not really having the night he's looking for. He was our points leader entering tonight. Not having the night he's been looking for, but easily with the season he's had, he's locked in on the points to make it into that top 8. So maybe just kind of using this as an R&D session, or maybe just this may not be one of his stronger tracks. So, and as we talked about the pit cycle, though, I believe Craig Forsyth tried to hit the pit road. He missed the pit entry, Steve. So he's having to go down the apron here. We're going to keep an eye on him, because this is a very treacherous place to be. He's going to try to merge back out on track, and does, right next to Jim Brooks and Henry Bennett. So unfortunately, Craig going to lose a lot of time with that mistake there, dropping probably about 5 or 6 spots with that mistake there.
Yeah, it's a very costly mistake.
It's also a very easy mistake to make, though. This track has one of the most difficult pit roads to enter, as he does now hit pit road in that 27 car. So I think he was going for that undercut there, trying to make that early pit stop pay out for him. So unfortunately, that's going to drop him definitely down the running orders. Right now, Andrew Wood in a gaggle of traffic here. I think he's trying to work over, I think that was Benjamin Combs, if I'm not mistaken. Just now able to clear him. But yeah, and that's the thing, is right now there's just kind of a conveyor belt of cars, and so it's really tough to keep up with who is where. But man, I mean, yeah, right now it's just, I think, going to be all about what's going to be the right strategy for the race here. I think everybody's going to be a little gun shy to pit that last pit stop early, because you can see almost three wide there for a moment. Andrew wisely backs out of it. It's going to cost him some time here, but I think that was definitely the right choice to make there.
So I think the big question right now is who's going to pit first between Henry Bennett and Andrew Wood.
Oh, and Nick DeGroot just did the same thing Craig Forsyth did here, Steve. He tried to hit pit road, just couldn't quite make it, so he's going to lose himself a lot of time as well in the 89 car. And actually, it's going to be Andrew Wood, Steve. Andrew hits pit road now as we're coming around to 38 to go in this race. So that's going to put Henry Bennett back to the point.
Wow, and things got a little scary there in that group that Henry Bennett was mixed up in right there.
Yeah, here comes Eric Schaus. Eric's going to react as well, hit pit road. He's bringing Alec Coates with him. And so trying to make sure everybody's able to get in and out cleanly. By Henry Bennett, he's going to stretch this run out. It looks like, again, I think a lot of these drivers are afraid to afraid to go in early. You never want to get trapped at laps or more down here at Iowa. Very difficult track to do that at. So right now, Henry Bennett takes over the point. That's going to promote Charles T to second. As I say that, here comes Charles, hit pit road now. That's going to promote Michael Spell now into that second position in the 88 machine. Jimmy Dryden now up into third. And saying the other thing, though, is for Jim Brooks is right now he's in sixth position right now with the pit stop cycles going on now, fifth. And right now it's like as things run, again, Henry hasn't pitted yet, but right now we showed 3 cars here, Steve, on the lead lap.
Yeah, that'll change pretty soon because all these guys, the top 4, still have to pit.
Yeah, exactly right. So we still have pit stops to go, but I mean, this is a very, very stressful point for some of these drivers. Do not want to get trapped here in a bad position. But right now, say it's going to be Henry Bennett, Michael Spell, Jimmy Dryden as those 3 cars on the lead lap. And I think that's exactly what I think Henry's doing here. He does not want, A, doesn't want to risk getting put down a lap, and B, I think if he can get a lot of these guys trapped a lap or more down, that's kind of all the benefit to him. As here comes Michael Spell. He's going to hit pit road. I believe he's got Chris Matthews with him. So Jim Brooks. Yep, here comes Henry Bennett. He's going to hit pit road. So we'll see if Jimmy Dryden, he's going to cycle through. And I think, yeah, Jimmy, here comes the 99 car. He's going to hit pit road right now. And that's going to bring us back to Jeff Heisong. He went the furthest of anybody last time, Steve. And so I think if his numbers are the same as last time, he can probably go about 2 to 3 more laps in that 18 car.
So you had mentioned that some of the drivers were pitting from the turn 3, and I noticed Henry Bennett did that. So this is going to be costly for him on time.
Yeah, he might lose a little bit of time again.
Yep. Plus he'll have lost a lot of time from staying out and running slower laps than what Andrew Wood was able to on his new tires.
That's a very good point. We'll definitely look at that. As I said, here comes Jeff Heisong, so that's going to bring Andrew Wood back to the point. So we're going to let everything cycle out completely, Steve, because I think there's only a couple drivers maybe yet to pit. We're just about complete with our somehow final scheduled pit stop cycle. But right now, like you said, Andrew Wood showing now about 8 seconds over Henry Bennett. So like you said, Steve, that entering off of 4 instead of 3 gained them some time. And this time their pit road time was pretty much spot on. So I think pitting those about 6 laps earlier for Andrew. Plus, like you said, I think that entering off of 4, I think that's gained him a ton of time, that 64 car. And now, as things run, Steve, we have 4 cars on the lead lap, with Craig Forsyth being on the absolute edge of staying on the lead lap, with Eric Schaus trying desperately to get himself back on the lead lap here in that 72 car. But just where do you take that car right now? So you've got a really talented Craig Forsyth. You've got a race leader right there. As you see, almost touches the wall. He's going to cut back underneath here. I say this is a tough spot for that 64 to be in as we go 3 wide off of 2. And it looks like Joseph Cicero may have just caught the wall, trying to give those guys some room there. Man, Steve, this is getting busy, and we're already down to, I believe, 26 to go here in this one. And right now, like I said, we have 4 drivers on the lead lap, 3 comfortably on the lead lap. And right now, he's actually going to try to put Craig Forsyth the lap down, so that would leave us 3 drivers on the lead lap as things run. Man, this race has been a barn burner here.
Oh, this is wild in this group up front. You know, one of the things that I'm always nervous about if I'm in a position like Eric Schaus is right now, you're a lap down. You want to get your lap back if you can, but you're also like really afraid of going up there and challenging the leader and messing him up.
Yeah, it's a very tough balance to make, and the one thing that's really hurting Craig right now is he was one of the earliest pitters, and I was saying I think he's in the position he is because of the fact that he missed pit road like we had mentioned, and so he had to go that extra lap. So right now he sits 4th. Right now he is the first car one down, but he is being completely hounded by Eric Schaus and Michael Spell. I say Eric's got about 5 lap fresher tires than Craig. And then Michael's got 5 lap fresher tires than Eric. So right now the 88 car on the fresher tires of these group wants to make the use of them. As you see, now he's going to try to work underneath that 72 car. Because again, this could be a very crucial position to be in to try to get that lucky dog spot. because you just never know if and when that caution flag could fly, completely change the outcome of this race here. And do need to mention that gap between Andrew the leader and Henry Bennett has dropped all the way down to about 3.5 seconds here. However, the problem for Henry is he still, I believe, has to work his way through these guys, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be a tough challenge here for that 007 car to try to work through those guys. As we've seen, they've been putting on quite a battle.
Yeah, you're not mistaken there at all. But Henry Bennett is furiously clicking off laps here. I mean, from 8 seconds down to 3 seconds down, just shows you the difference of 6 laps on 6 lap pressure tires at this track.
Yeah, so now we'll see if it starts evening out, because now Henry hits the traffic here. He's going to work to the outside. I believe that is the 3 of Alec Coates. He's going to sneak around him there, and that's going to now put him into the crosshairs of those guys we just talked about. But actually, while we were checking out on him, Michael Spell, he got around those 3 guys here, Steve. So now that puts Michael as the first car one down. So great job by Michael Spell making the most out of those fresh tires in the 88 car. And saying actually isn't that far away. He could actually chase down the 64 car, maybe get his lap back the old-fashioned way, as he also has about 5 lap fresher tires than our race leader as well.
Yeah, and if somebody's that much faster than you and you're the leader, you got 2 kind of conflicting thoughts going on. One is you want to try and keep the guy behind you because it gives you a buffer between yourself and Henry Bennett once Henry catches up, assuming he does. And the other conflicting thought is this guy's a lot faster than me. I don't want to take a chance on him misjudging entry speed and running into me, so I'll just let him go.
Yeah, and I think for Andrew, I think right now he probably has to try to stay on the aggressive right now. He's been able to stretch the lead back over Henry Bennett. Now is up to, again, about 3.5 seconds, because Henry just now able to clear that traffic behind, or that was in front of him. So that's going to set him back into clean air. But the thing for Andrew is, should he let Michael go, he's going to be stuck in Michael's dirty air for who knows how long. And right now he's got about a solid maybe half a straightaway or so until he gets to James Ledford. So I think Andrew, he's got to keep his foot down. You want to keep that clean air on the nose. We know clean air is king here at Iowa, especially along with pretty much any of the tracks here with these Indy cars. But yeah, right now these guys doing a great job. And just looking around here, we've got the top 3 again right now. Andrew Wood, Henry Bennett, Charles Teed, the 3 cars on the lead lap. Separated by about, Charles right now about 12 seconds off our leader, but also, again, in a little pocket. Somehow he's just found himself to be just in clean air for a good chunk of this race here tonight, as that 5 car holds solidly in 3rd. And like I said, Michael Spell worked his way back up into 4th. But Steve, I feel like I blinked and we're at 10 to go here, man.
Wow. This has just flown by.
I mean, that's what happens when you're running 17, 18-second laps. And again, I think if you're a betting man, if you're taking odds, you say, hey, is this IndyCar race at Iowa, is it going to go caution free? The odds would be very, very low on the caution free. I think somebody who put that bet down would have made a lot of money with that, because I think everybody would have guessed, oh no, we're going to have at least a yellow. And again, I mean, and that's the thing, is we still could. Right now as we cross the line here, 8 to go already at Iowa. Again, there are no green, white checkered attempts here, so say for right now for Andrew Wood, he probably just wants to wait. He just needs this thing to get to probably about 4 to go, I think, and that would be enough, I think, where it would not restart. So I'll say that's the last thing for Andrew Wood, is he needs this thing to stay green, does not want a late race restart. So he wants these guys to keep this one clean and green to the end.
Yeah, and Henry Bennett has pretty much stabilized at 3 seconds behind, so I don't think he's going to catch him in the few laps that we have left.
Yeah, right now one of our closest battles is right here for the 6th position, Alec Coates and Eric Schaus. I mean, we mentioned Alec right on the edge on the points position here, so this point position could be critical, because right now he's only in 7th. He's in 7th. Jim is 8th. So I mean, if he can get another spot, get up to 6, that could be enough to maybe jump him over that 51 car. Like I said, just the way the drop weeks work and everything like that, it could be very interesting here, as we now are at 5 to go. Yeah, Rachel, you're exactly right. This has been something. Again, I mean, to go caution free at a track like this, I would have never guessed it. But I mean, we still got 4 to go, so knock on wood. We'll see if we make it to the end as we jump back to our race leader. But yeah, like you said, Steve, I mean, at this point, say for Andrew, he just needs to kind of manage this gap. I think at this point now he can just kind of roll back a little bit, and I think just kind of keep this car in a safe position because he's got a pretty comfortable margin right now over that 007. I believe we're at 3 to go here. Steve, I'm watching right now. Alec Coates, Eric Schaus, because this is a really good battle here for that 6th spot. Say Jim Brooks also having to try to hold off Jeff Heisong behind him. Say right now that's for 8th and 9th, so we're trying to keep an eye on that as well. Right now Eric's hanging on to that position as Alec Coates just took the 2 to go, or sorry, Andrew Wood took 2 to go, but actually no, he's taking the white flag, Steve. So this is our final lap here. 125 laps has just flashed by here, and it looks like Andrew Wood, he's going to use the pit strategy here. Went with that short pit, had the entry out of 4 instead of out of 3, and he is going to grab the win tonight at Iowa. A quick one tonight here. 125 laps in the blink of an eye. Henry Bennett going to grab 2nd position. Then coming out of turn number 4, here comes that number 5 of Charles Teed. He is going to finish in 3rd. But man, that was a quick one, but hats off to us. And now we got to spin there after the race, but it's not going to affect the outcome of this one. Andrew Wood going to get the win this evening. He's going to go 3 wins out of 4 races he's entered. That 4th race, 2nd place. So this guy is definitely one to contend with.
Yeah, definitely. And his entrance to the league reminds me of somebody else's who just finished 2nd.
As I gave him a little bit of love tap. Now, unfortunately, missing the nose cone of that 64 car isn't gonna hurt the donuts at all, though. So he's gonna continue that celebration in that number 64. But man, just great job by Andrew tonight. So yeah, so say sprint race here at Iowa is completed. We're gonna go through our standings as we watch that number 64 celebrate here. All right, so you see there, Andrew Wood getting the win by 3.5 seconds over Henry Bennett, Charles Teed in 3rd. And that's it, guys. That is our top. Those are our lead lap finishers tonight. Everybody else lapped. Michael Spell, great result for him there, 4th. Craig Forsyth, 5th. Then you got Eric Schaus, Alec Coates, Jim Brooks, Jeff Heisong, Nick DeGroot rounding out our top 10. Then you got Matt Wagner, AJ Hobson, Yari Brupacher, Chris Matthews, Charles Johnson, Benjamin Combs, Todd Merkel, and Jimmy Drynan in 18th. And then the remainder, you have Bud Steele, James Ledford, Joseph Desir, and then unfortunately an early exit for Gary Corley in the 22nd spot. But it is going to be that number 64 of Andrew Wood getting the win tonight. And so, Steve, we got some drivers to chat with. And so I don't think these guys probably had enough time to break a sweat. We're gonna have to start off, and we're gonna ask Charles Teed here. He's gonna be the first of our drivers that we get to have a chat with, and see what he's got to say about this one tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so with that, we're gonna drag in that number 5 of Charles Teed. So Charles, I don't know if you realized or not, but the race is already over, man.
Yeah. Should I put my underwear back on? You guys got me?
I mean, it's a family show, so probably. But Steve and I were talking, man. If you were a betting man, 125 laps, Iowa Speedway with these IR18 cars, I mean, there wouldn't be very many takers on putting money on that thing going caution free. But man, I mean, how crazy was that for you guys? I mean, obviously you started 4th and able to keep it up there all night long, grab that 3rd position. Pit strategy was spot on. I mean, just take us through your race, and I mean, how shocked were you guys in your Discord chat there about how this one unfolded?
It was it's very surprising. First of all, it was a great job by the drivers. I think if cautions were going to happen, it was going to be on pit entry. That's why I was worried about pitting early. But Andrew, when he pitted, he pitted in earlier than Henry and I in the first run. When I was starting to close on him, and I like the car more on older tires than new. I think I was as fast as those guys, but on new tires, those guys just were screaming on the top. But I had one stop where I couldn't stop because there was action in front of me and there was melee. I think it was Wagner on one and Nick on another. So it just kind of messed me up a little bit. And then I was just praying for no cautions because I didn't want to pull this field back together. I was in a catbird seat just to advance to the playoffs after missing a race earlier in the season and having to make it on a road race. That's where I think I'll give myself the most attaboy. I love this track. This is a really fun track. But man, Andrew making that first stop early, I think really set him up and put Henry behind the catbird seat or in big trouble behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I was a little surprised to see how early Andrew came in relation. And that's something Steve and I were commenting on was basically when Andrew pitted. I believe when he came out, he wound up being 2 laps down for just a little bit until the cycles kind of all went through. And that was guys, how tense were you guys knowing that you knew there's those couple of drivers that are really good fuel savers? Like I think we saw Craig Forsyth, and I think it was Jeff Heisong that went the furthest thing, 49 laps. I mean, how much were you sweating there for everything to kind of completely cycle all the way through?
Very much so. In my overlay, I could see, and all of a sudden, the whole field is a different color than me. So that tells me I'm a lap behind. And then I just tried to concentrate because I know this first lap out, the car is very loose too. Honestly, the drivers did such a hell of a job to avoid caution tonight. I mean, it was good, clean racing. There was a couple of near misses that I noticed around me, but as a whole, it was a lot of fun and happy to advance and get through this bull ring. I knew I needed to finish somewhere in the top 5-ish to advance, and I think we did that with third. So it was a lot of fun. I would race here every week.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, it was a fun race to watch. I just it went by so fast that I'm not even sure I know what happened.
I feel the same way. It was just nonstop action. I mean, it was almost like racing around Richmond or something. There was just constant cars around you, but everyone was pretty well aware of, if you were coming in and you were on the lead lap and they were a lapper and they kind of got out of the way. I much preferred I think the guys kind of like to run more on the top. I much preferred to be able to come in and run across the bottom off on both corners. And the second half of runs, that's when I noticed I would pull on people. Shao started reeling me in on the first half of the second stint. And then the second half of the stint, I stretched it back out. Andrew, the same thing happened. They stretched out to like a 3-second lead on me, and I got it down to 1 second before the pit stop. So it was, I wish we could have had more, maybe a fuller tank might have been more fun for me, giving me a better chance with these guys.
Yeah, nice. I always like when you're able to pull away on long runs like that.
Yep. It was a lot of fun. I hope it was fun to watch.
It was definitely enjoyable. So it was hard to keep up though, because as I said, it was when you guys are clicking off 17, 18-second laps. I mean, it's a lot to try to manage. And like I said, usually it's okay. We got the caution. We'll regroup and we'll kind of follow through again. And
breathe.
And we're like, wait a second, what lap are we on? And it's like, oh man, like it was just blowing by. And that's something I did mention just by chance at the beginning was, green flag laps here. I mean, they go quick, so it could be a really fast race. I mean, you guys, honestly, I say our posters interviews tonight with you guys might be the longer than the race it was itself. So, I mean, just hats off to you guys. And you're right, though, Charles. We were watching the intervals, and like you said, right before the Andrew kind of did a little bit of a short pit. Like you said, you were down a couple seconds, then you brought yourself right back up into that mix there. But yeah, just awesome job. I say the other thing too is I noticed you, for whatever reason or benefit, you kind of had a nice little pocket around you for a good chunk of the race where you kind of had a couple seconds in front, behind.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, you say you had like pretty much a full straightaway ahead of you. So I'm sure that was nice to have that clean air.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I saw Nick, there was a pack of cars behind me on newer tires. And Nick got to the front of them, but I think he probably burned his stuff up. And because I just didn't want to get involved in that melee knowing that they were all a lap behind. I would have just let them go. But still, someone can make a mistake. I really just wanted to be alone. Once I knew that once Henry got really going, Henry really turned up the wick and just ran away from me. There's nothing. Then I ran 85% the last 20 laps, just hanging in there. So, it was a lot of fun.
Got a pit question.
Yes.
We noticed that some people were pitting off turn 3 and some people were pitting off turn 4. Was there any rule on that tonight, or why do you think some people did one and some did the other?
I think they thought it was easier to do, but I saw people that were doing that were running back up and not making it. I practiced it as one of the things I practiced before the race and found a good spot on old tires that I could make it in. I mean, that's an important part of this. I'm still nowhere near good as Schaus is an incredible pit stop person normally. Henry's excellent. Nick is excellent. Those guys always seem to gap me on those little 1 second here, 1 second there, and then it turns into a straightaway. And so that's something I'm trying to get better at, but still nowhere near these guys' caliber.
Well, I know some of these tracks, it's deadly in these cars because you get that transition between the banking and the and
so
the
I
apron and
went.
you're gone.
Yeah, so what I did is I had my brake bias set accordingly, and then I also moved my weight jacker all the way to -7 to come into the pits because I didn't want to bring the rear end around, and then I just was careful, just trying to get through it, and I'll take a P3 talking to the boys anytime.
Yeah,
absolutely.
well deserved, Charles. And yeah, I can say you did lock yourself into that final 8. And saying it's fitting, it's going to be that number 5 car finishing 5th in the points for the regular season. So now time to get that, knock the 5s off and go for that number 1 spot in these final 4.
Absolutely. We're going to tracks that I absolutely love. So I know there's supreme talent with these guys around me, but I can run with them on these tracks we're going to. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure. But I say, Steve, unless you have anything else, I said we got to run this man we got to give him some shout out time because he's got some good looking sponsors on that car.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, make sure you have a clean pair of underwear set for next week.
Yeah, we'll get them scrubbed and waxed and polished and ready to go.
Excellent.
Trimmed up and ready for speed.
You may be wearing those for a while.
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't won one here in a minute, so it would be fun to win one. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys for putting this thing and broadcasting it. Area 51 for this is my favorite night of the week that I race. This is one I do not miss. So thank you to the team there. Henry, I'm doing another excellent setup. The guy just builds really good setups. Once we got out there and this was really fun to drive for me anyways. I want to thank the Dark Horse boys that we run with every week. And yeah, it was ESTV. You guys, who am I missing? Troy Lee Designs, HyperX, Butt Kicker, all the people that help put these on and give us prizes. So awesome. You tell Henry and Andrew, great job, and that we're coming for him in the playoffs. If Henry will show up, he's a mute right now with family living in his house in the UK.
Yeah, so I think he's continuing the mute status, unfortunately. But like I said, I have a feeling once we uncork him, we won't be able to stop him. So we'll take advantage of the quiet while we can, right?
Yep.
All right, great job though, Charles. Well earned 3rd place finish. Look forward to seeing you in those final 4 races of the playoffs.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Yep, you too. Great job.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right, Steve. Yeah, unfortunately, Henry Bennett won't be able to be part of the interview. Say, like he mentioned, we went over trying to do the math last time with it being 9:30 for you, 6:30 for me. It's very early in the morning for him or late at night, whichever you want to say. So he doesn't want to wake up the family. So I can appreciate that. However, we got to bring in our race winner in that 64 of Andrew Wood. Man. The gamble, the pit strategy, I mean, that paid off. I say that built you some gap. Obviously, the pit entry didn't hurt either. But, man, you've been on a tear these races you've been in. And I think these guys they're probably watching Henry for those final 4 now. They got to worry about you now these last 4 races for the playoffs, huh?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I wasn't going to pit as early as I wanted to, but I had hit the wall in the middle of the first stint there, and I had some damage, which allowed Henry to get some gap on me. So I knew I had to pit kind of early to try and repair the car and use the fast repair. But I didn't want to pit too early because I didn't want to go off strategy too much. And yeah, that's what happened from there. And then the pit stops from there kind of dictated the rest of the race. But speaking to Henry now about a bit of a situation that I had on my final stop there, and I do want to apologize to him if I managed to kind of ruin his flow a little bit, and that's not really what I'm trying to do. But yeah, the race played out for me a certain way, and I kind of ran with it from there.
When you made that early pit stop, how nervous were you, say, the first few laps when you were 2 laps down and and your major competition hadn't pitted yet?
Oh, I was very nervous because there's always that chance that you kind of get put a couple laps down, and in recent races that's happened to me. So I always had it kind of in the back of my mind that would happen. Not to mention, I'm actually surprised that I got by Henry on that first pit stop, just because I did get stuck behind a bunch of slower cars that hadn't pitted yet, about 4 or 5 of them on my out lap. So I was kind of running a bit slower and still trying to get myself all warmed up and everything. So I'm very surprised that I actually beat him out there because he was starting to pull away.
We checked. We did some of the math on that. You were, I think, almost 3 seconds behind when you took your pit stop, and then after Henry pitted, you were about 2.7 ahead of him. So it was like a 5 or 6 second turnaround there. And Gael checked your relative pit stop times, and I think you'd gained 2 seconds in the pits. And I'm guessing that the rest of it was probably the difference in new tires versus old tires.
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to have a slight bit of difference there. Just, being able to run a bit faster, more of your fastest laps, whereas people are still trying to struggle on some worn tires. So that's probably the difference right there.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, it was definitely, I mean, I didn't say the other part of that, of course, was that we talked to Charles about that with his third place interview. But, I mean, let's say Iowa IndyCars, we know how fast the racing is here. I mean, would you have guessed that this thing would go caution free? Was that even in your mindset for kind of a game plan or strategy, or were you kind of blanking? Okay, I need to figure out if I'm going to be kind of pitting or staying out depending on when the cautions fall. I mean, how much did this kind of throw your game plan for a curve for tonight?
Well, I tried my best to give Henry the run for his money on the start of the race. You know, I had a great start, honestly, one of my best starts ever from outside pole. And I tried to see if I could make any sort of inroads on him, but didn't quite get there. So I just kind of sat back and put the fuel mix up and tried to save the fuel from there, which I was planning to go longer than him if possible. But then the wall hit happened, and I knew I had to pit sooner because Charles was starting to catch me a little bit from behind. So I knew I'd get the damage repaired. And I thought I would be way behind then just because of how much time I had lost with the damage repair and doing the early pit stop, not knowing what's going to happen on the other side when I come out of the pit stop. So that's kind of how my race went from there. And then to find out that I was ahead of him was a very big shock to me.
So it sounds like the wall hit was your best strategic move of the race.
Yeah, not trying to say that, obviously, because usually as soon as I hit the wall and I heard the crunch, I was like, well, that's my mistake right there. And the car gained a lot of understeer out of nowhere. I didn't have a lot of exit speed coming out of 2 and 4, so I had to just kind of hang on and hope that the traffic would have held Henry up enough for me to kind of maintain the gap, because I could immediately tell that he was faster than me, and it just didn't really hold up. So. I went off strategy a little bit unsuspectingly, and that's actually what managed to get me, higher up where I was.
So I have a question about the last run, because you pitted, I think it was about 6 laps earlier than Henry, and when he came out of the pits, he was 8 seconds behind, and he started. I mean, he was clicking off laps and gaining like half second a lap on you. And I think we got to around 10 laps to go, and he was about 3 seconds behind. And we thought if he keeps going the way he is, he's going to catch you, and you guys are going to have a heck of a battle. But I noticed everything stabilized then, and I was wondering whether you had kind of saved tires throughout that run and saw how close he got and started pushing it harder.
Yeah. I wasn't saving anything really. I was just trying to. I actually had no idea how far back he was. I checked a couple of times and I saw he was about like 5 or 6 seconds back. So that's pretty much where I had originally found it. The lap traffic really didn't do me many favors, to be honest. Like, it seemed like people were kind of pulling over for me, but then they'd still be there on the exit and racing me, and I kind of had to, compromise some exit speed because of that. So, it wasn't. it wasn't really easy for me to get through some of the lap traffic, and that they're doing their race, and it is what it is, and I kind of have to expect that. So Henry might have had a bit more advantage on me in terms of trying to get through the traffic to catch me. But he never appeared to my relative, so I didn't really think that he was going to be a big threat to me. If I saw him start to appear, maybe I'd start to push a little bit more, but I overfilled the car and just tried to kind of bring it home at that point. And yeah, that's pretty much how that went.
So it sounds like it was probably more a matter of how you guys were catching traffic, and maybe the tires kind of evened out by that point.
Yeah, I was trying to keep my tires in check to make sure that if I had caught like a faster lapped car, someone in P7 or P8 or something like that, that had some pace, that I'd be able to actually clear them. And yeah.
It's tough at a small track like this when you're running the kind of speeds you are to not get into a situation where you can't pass somebody exactly the way you're hoping to.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just kind of a chess game, really, at the end of the day. If you're racing someone who's got similar pace to you, you got to figure out some sort of advantage. And I thought my advantage was going to be staying out longer and trying to minimize my last stop, but that I had to kind of throw everything aside there when I had the damage, and that's how it went from there. And I knew after I had the fast repair done, I knew I couldn't make a single mistake after that. So that's why, especially in traffic, I was trying my best to stay away from people and not put myself in a situation. There were a few times where I got put in the middle of a 3 wide situation or something like that, and I got nervous that would be the end of the race right there.
Yeah, definitely. And then you got to start worrying about netcode and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
KL?
But man, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Awesome job tonight, Andrew. Like I said, I mean, so you've been pretty much lights out since you joined over here. So I'll say these guys are going to definitely be having their work cut out for them in these final 4 races. So say you haven't made all of them, but the ones you've been in, I mean, 3 wins, a second place finish. There's not much better you could do than that. So obviously you got the final 4 coming up here. It'll be a lot of fun to see you battle out with those 7 other drivers here. So we'll let you prep for that one. But say before we let you go, sir, definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that win this evening?
Yeah, shout out to the guys that run this league and you guys for broadcasting as always. And I'll keep it short. Just going to shout out to the guys in this league that make this possible and make this a great series to race in.
Well, looking forward to seeing you next week, sir. Say playoff time. I'm sure everybody's going to be ramped up a little bit over there, but it's going to be fun to see who's able to get the overall points championship out of those final 4 races. So enjoy this one, and then back to work next week.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. See you then.
Yep, congrats on the win.
All right, Steve, that is our race winner in that number 64 of Andrew Wood. So it sounds like we may have missed a little bit, though. So you mentioned in an interview there, sounds like maybe a little bit of a miscommunication possibly on the pit entry between himself and Henry there on his final pit stop, it sounds like. So you kind of have to wonder, what I thought initially was maybe a celebratory congratulations there post-race. May have been a little bit, actually, maybe possibly a bit of frustration out of that 007 car of Henry. But, man, again, though, I mean, like you said, a short track like this, it's really hard to kind of do everything right to especially not to kind of get in a situation with various drivers as well. But man, I mean, that clicked off fast, and I was like, it's kind of like the season, honestly. We were talking about that before we went on air tonight. It's kind of crazy to think that we're already at the regular season finale, going into those final 4 races, and I think this race was just like the perfect example of the way this season's gone tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and the amount of talent in this field is pretty incredible. So especially between Andrew and Henry Bennett, I think we're going to see a heck of a championship battle with those guys. Nick DeGroot, Matt Wagner, Charles Teed, Craig Forsyth, Eric Schaus should be up there with those guys, but he's having more of a quiet season. But
yeah, it hasn't been the season he's looked for, unfortunately. And yeah, so unfortunately he does not make the top 8. And actually, see if I can give you those numbers now. So it's going to be Nick DeGroot who wins the regular season championship in that number 89 machine. So there are no bonus points. Everybody's going to be reset to 0 for this final for the final 4 races. So it's going to be Nick DeGroot, Henry Bennett, Matt Wagner, Jeff Heisong, Charles Teed. We mentioned Andrew Wood with his results. He jumped all the way to 6th in points. 7th position is Craig Forsyth, and the final driver making it in tonight is going to be the number 3 of Alec Coates, who was able to, including that drop week, was able to distance himself from Jim Brooks by about 9 points. So those are going to be the 8 drivers going for those final 4 to get that to get our championship here with Area 51.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Alec Coates, wasn't he the one that squeezed in on the very last race last season?
Is a good question. I'm gonna see if I can find. I'm gonna look at our standing results here and see if Alec Coates was in the top 8 or not. I don't know if Alec was or not. It may have been David Payton possibly that squeezed in at the end. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't have it handy, unfortunately. So you got me on that one, Steve. But it's a pretty stout group of guys. Like I said, I think the one I say not to knock somebody when they're down, but I think, like I said, the one that we expect to see in that group was going to be the 72 of Eric Schaas. Unfortunately, missed a few races, and then also I think the season just didn't go to plan for him. I think Anders Arhus, same thing for him too. Didn't quite have the season he was looking for. Also missing a couple. But then, yeah, like I said, I mean, and then when you have to compete with some of these guys, like we talked about, like the Nick and Henry, Matt, Charles. I mean, these and of course now this newcomer of Andrew Wood. I mean, these guys are stout. Craig Forsyth. So I mean, really, it's honestly, I mean, with the group we have in this final 4, I really don't know who has a distinct advantage, because I've seen all of these drivers up front here at various times of the season.
Yep, exactly. So how exactly do the playoffs work?
So it's just basically going to be the best of whichever best driver does the best over these final 4 races, whoever has the most points after the 4. So like I said, no bonus points going into it. There's none of that. So basically, whoever has the most points when it comes time to it, that's going to be after those 4 races. Kind of like the old NASCAR playoff system, like in 2004 till whenever. Whoever finishes with the most points after that last race. No drop weeks, of course, in the final 4. So it's just going to be, yeah, if like Andrew, if he's able to build a solid lead in the first 3 races, maybe he can have an off race on race number 4 and hang on for that championship. So it's not going to be a winner-take-all finale. It's going to be the best, who does the best out of these final 4, which, to mention those tracks for those final 4 races, we'll start off at Pocono next week, followed by Gateway or Worldwide Technology Raceway, Auto Club, and then the finale at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So a couple of going to be some great tracks. I think those are going to be very fun, racy tracks for these drivers to really put on a show as well.
Yep, I think so too. And I think those are the kind of tracks that are going to give everybody in that top 8 a shot at beating each other.
Yeah, exactly right. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So somehow, Steve, we're already done. That was 125 laps, and I say if someone was willing to do the math for us, we can find out how quick this race was. But actually, you know what? I think I can find out. I think our results will tell us. It was 125 laps, Steve. In 38 minutes was the race distance tonight in time. So again, when you get 17, 18 second laps, these things click off very fast.
Wow, that's insane.
All right, Steve. So with that, I mean, that's it for us for this evening. I say it feels like we just started, but I say we'll be able to maybe take advantage of our extra half hour or so, so you can take care of your little 4-legged one, and probably the same for me. For those watching, I say we as always really appreciate you guys being a part of this. Say Rachel, I don't know what you can do with your extra evening, so I have a joke in there, but family friendly channel, so I'll save that for another time. But yeah, thank you all so much for supporting us here at Green White Checker TV. Also really want to thank, of course, everybody over with ESTV and Dark Horse Racing for kind of being part of this as well. I say it's been a fun addition to be able to broadcast over with ESTV on Facebook, Twitch, and on YouTube. And of course, also with the Dark Horse Racing guys, I say always have fun racing with them. I say kind of take the pressure off and race with them on Wednesdays, and then of course say same thing for Charles to be able to do the same thing over here on Tuesdays. So it's a lot of fun to be able to partnership with them. It's been a lot of fun doing that as well. So Steve, as always, sir, it is a pleasure, and we'll be seeing you next week come playoff time.
Likewise, Gael. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to the next 4 races with you. And thank you for setting me directions on how to get here when I was lost earlier.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in these various cornfields. So yeah, I totally get that as well. So I'll see if they can do like a corn maze map or something for us in the future over here at Iowa. But yeah, great track though, a lot of fun. I say works great with the Cup cars, the Indy cars. It's just a really fun short track. It puts on a great racing, I think, for all series. So everybody, again, thank you so much for watching. Look forward to catching you next time. Until then, have a wonderful evening, and we'll be back on Thursday for the Premier Series regular season finale as well. But until then, have a good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.